You did mention kind of going through YC early in 2013 with Swapbox. So I wanted to go back to that. And, could you share more about, the founder journey at the time and maybe what some of the biggest challenges were?
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, I was coming right out of school, so I was kind of an idiot. But one of the things that we did was one of my friends from elementary school and I really just wanted to build something. We spent a week building a app. I think we had like 44 shots of coffee and just went straight through shots of espresso. Yeah. And we basically built an asynchronous way of interacting with Craigslist. So that's actually where the swap and Swapbox come from, is I could transact a Craigslist transaction, but instead of doing it and actually meeting the person, uh, party A would drop it off with someone, party B would pick it up. I was the first person to like facilitate all these transactions, but that was, I think, great learning. Um, and then we actually ended up building hardware to do this, which is why we call it Swapbox. But funny thing, and something I'll get into later that we didn't realize that we didn't plan ahead for is that people started using these boxes to receive packages. I thought this was crazy, but people would start getting stuff delivered. And that was the birth of the company as Swapbox. One of the things that was, I think, formative in that experience is we actually so the first swap box was basically an iPad on a gym locker. It was so ugly that the campus wanted to kick us off. But because students really loved it, the newspaper on campus was the only building that was student owned. So students rallied around the swap box, got it put in the newspaper building so that students could still use it. Which to me was like, okay, I am building something that people love. That was my first foray into like building something that even if a small group of people love it, um, that's a good enough start. And so if people were able to like rally around, go against the campus to put us on campus, that was a sign to me that like, hey, people love this product. And so that was kind of the start of the Swapbox journey. We got into YC that helped us scale a lot of campuses into cities. But then another learning from the Swapbox days is um, investors are also stupid sometimes. And when Amazon hit the market with Amazon lockers, everyone was like, okay, you guys can't beat Amazon. You should pivot. We ended up not listening to them, which I still to this day think is the right move because the argument against us was that Amazon would just open up their network to any other carrier, any other retailer, and release that last mile logistics to the world. And my counter argument to investors was, why would they do that? Like they want to own the end customer, they want to own the full stack, so we could be Amazon lockers for everyone else. Um, my saving grace in this, even though we didn't end up successful because it was really hard to scale a hardware company, was that we no to this day Amazon still has not opened up their network to any other retailer, and so at least I was right about that. And actually, now some other people are trying to do what Swapbox did back then, so maybe we were just at the wrong time.
No, it's definitely super early in the space, and fast forward to today, it is pretty crazy to think about that. So, and also too, I'm sure it was very very challenging as you mentioned. I can only imagine software and marketplaces is hard enough. So if you kind of add the hardware element to that as well.
Yeah, I will also add because I know some folks here are probably like in the phase of applying to what I see. I think one thing that obviously they talk about this a lot, but doing things that don't scale at early stages is really important. I think like I'll talk about this when we're thinking about some of the founder traits I look for in marketplace founders, but marketplaces are really hard to build. And so you really have to do things that don't scale early on. You have to try a lot of things and be agile. And I think like one of the things I realized is we probably would have died even earlier at Swapbox if we hadn't pivoted and realized, hey, customers are using my product for something different. Like maybe that is the actual problem we should be solving rather than the original thing we were making. And it's hard to shift directions completely, but being agile like that is pretty important as a founder.